Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Art's Place Conservative Talk from a different view. We've got a great show today, and it's great to be here. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, we got a great show today. Let's get over here to the studio, and let's bring up my co-host all the way from Muskogee, Oklahoma, the effervescent and clean-shaven Lloyd Mendenhall. Hey, Lloyd, how you doing?
I'm here. I'm doing better. I'm alive. You know.
Yes, it's great to be here. Nice hat. Well, I mean, not nice for you, but we had a week off, and so how's Miss Judy doing?
She's doing a lot better. She's still having this really knocked her for a loop. She's pretty weak and has to have a lot of assistance right now. Still walking. What it was she had a exacerbation of her COPD.
Oh.
And hypoxia, which meant she couldn't breathe. She wasn't getting oxygen in her system, and she just finished up the prednisone that they had her on. I think yesterday, or Friday.
Right.
And but you know, it weakened her system. And of course, you know, we thought, of course, I called an ambulance because she couldn't breathe. I mean, she was scared enough. She wanted an ambulance. So they took her and they said they thought she might have pneumonia. It turned out she didn't, but it turns out they're like my daughter-in-law, who is a nurse. They've got one COVID case on their floor or in her hospital, but they've got about 30 of these, bronchial or not bronchial infections, but 30 of these exacerbations, COPD problems. And it's because Oklahoma is it's the allergy capital of the world. We've got we have ragweed that's just terrible. That's what set me off. That's also what set her off. She was getting better. And I asked the doctor, I said, do I need to go get tested? Because I'm not as bad as her, but I'm still having problems. He said, well, he says, if she comes back positive, you've probably got it too. So let's just wait and see what she has, and then you can go do it. And, she came back negative on all that. And they pumped her full of antibiotics and all sorts of crap. And they pumped me. They didn't give me anything, but I used a lot of over-counter stuff. And I got cleared up. But last Monday, I didn't have a voice at all. I'd lost my voice last weekend, and I couldn't, we didn't get her out of the hospital till a week ago Friday. So, but yeah, she's doing better. I'm doing better. We're recovering. It's just this time of year, but it snuck up on her, and I usually am on top of that stuff like that. And I was giving her stuff, but it just wasn't helping. So she had to be in the hospital to get that taken care of.
Well, that explains why Mel had a great show last week.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. I actually caught his show. He had a good show. He had a
yes, he did.
Guest.
He really did.
Yeah. And I knew she was coming, but I couldn't be on the show. So.
All right, let's get going. Let's bring up our other co-host, the triumvirate of conservatism, all the way from not Schenectady, but Syracuse, New York. Let's welcome Mike Roach. Welcome. Good to see you. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Lloyd. I just having a good weekend. I'm sorry I'm late. I just literally got ready to get in front of the PC here and or the computer, and but just got back from the celebration of Lloyd not having his voice. It was a week-long celebration, Lloyd, for the internet.
I can imagine. I can imagine everybody was relieved that I wasn't on and talking. Yeah, I can imagine that.
Right. But I was listening to you guys. I'm glad to hear things are going a bit better. That's pretty rough stuff. And
But
yeah, here in the Northeast, we're in full fall mode right now. It's just a week before Halloween, and went last night to a library in a small town near me where they had like a pumpkin festival. People carve pumpkins of all different varieties and shapes and sizes, and little kids in costumes. It was a lot of good, wholesome fun. And so that's why I missed your show last night, Art. Caught a little of it when I got home, but it was, halfway done. So I watched. She had a full house anyway. But good weekend going on, so.
And don't forget, next week's a big drone giveaway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We've got Chris Wedgeworth. We've got Brian TDR Drones, E-Bikes and Scooters, and Mel 400 AGL. Welcome to the show.
Yep, Mel's here.
Yep, let's go, Brandon. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what the heck was that all about, and I guess, was Brandon a basketball player?
No. What happened is at Talladega Raceway, and Joe Biden, I think I don't know if he was there or if they just started the chant, okay? And the reporter for, I don't know, NBC Sports or whoever was covering it. And you can hear in the background, F. Joe Biden, F. Joe Biden. The winner, his name was Brandon.
Oh,
the reporter reviewing him and says, "Oh, isn't that great? They're chanting, 'Let's go, Brandon.'" Live on TV, he says this, and that clip is everywhere. And now it's become the pseudonym for F. Joe Biden.
Yeah. Okay, because one of the things I heard, there was a pro basketball player, I guess his name was Brandon, who got the COVID shot, got a blood clot for him. Now his season is done.
Yeah, no, it simply has to do with that race and that reporter from PMS NBC or someplace like that, right. Or Cheating News Network or whatever they call themselves now, Crappy News Network. Anyways, she said Commie News Network, yeah. Anyways, the reporter was saying, "Oh, isn't that great? They're saying, 'Let's go, Brandon.'" And I mean, he looks like.
Yeah, she tried her best to cover that up.
She tried to cover it up, but there was no covering it because it had already started like weeks before at the college football games.
College football games. Yep.
College football is where it first started at. And I'm not sure which college it was that started it first, but it spread like wildfire. Of course, now they're doing the "Let's Go Brandon" just to that way it stays on the air. Even Fox News quit covering it up. They one time, I don't know, it was a week or two ago, they actually bleeped it out or muted the mic while the reporter was talking. He was going, and you couldn't hear anything because they muted everything because everybody's back to F. Joe Biden, And so they came back a little later or on the next show, they went ahead and just said to hell with it. They cover NASCAR the second half of the season. Okay, that's what it was. Thank you. But I think it was at Talladega is where it was, and that's only because Talladega stuck in my head. As my memory's kind of like my brain's like a sieve. It just goes right through.
Well,
so
did you see that reporter's interview of those three kids? And it was about some sporting event. And the kid in the middle just blurts out, "Let's go, Brandon."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know when that's going to pop up now for however long it lasts.
Well, look what TDR just said. He some guy of the House floor said it yesterday. Yeah, it's become, the pseudo F Joe Biden. Perfect, she set it up. She made it, she's an idiot reporter, and yeah, I thought it was NBC, and it was, but yeah, it was, and this was like, I don't know, his first big win or something. So they were interviewing Brandon, and she tried, but it was pathetic because, by then, this was just a couple of weeks ago, and by then everybody already knew what it meant. So,
Right.
It's the
Took me a
idiocy
little while
of
to
it.
figure that out, but
Yeah.
I've been to one college football game so far here, but it's in it's in New York State, so there was no Brandon screaming. But let's hope next week, so.
Joe Biden got 10 million more votes than Barack Obama in a pig's eye. Exactly. Yeah. Well,
and I think Biden, somebody asked him about the chance, and his quip was, well, I got 80-something million more votes than the other guy.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well.
Western Sizzler. Oh boy.
And then it got
Well, guys, let's dive into our first topic. Biden had a town hall. Who knew? And how about that one? Boy, just more idiocy on display. What is with him holding his? Is he driving? He's got his hands out like this. He's standing there. I thought he was driving Miss Daisy or something. He's got his hands at the 9 and 3 o'clock positions.
Yeah, he has these moves that he does, which he started. Remember the whispering into the microphone?
Oh God, yeah.
That shot and all this stuff. And I don't know whether that is supposed to be for emphasis. That hand gesture he does. He does a lot of holding his hand up to his face now too.
Yeah.
And
like he's thinking.
But I think he's kind of lost at that point. And but he thinks it looks thoughtful or something. Mm-hmm. And then the double-fisted driving Miss Daisy move that he does. And but either way, what comes out of his mouth is gibberish,
Yeah. So. Well, how about that time they asked him about when are you going to the border? And he just went on this long-winded answer. It really didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
It was like, well, I was years ago, and he's never been to the border. When he was in as a senator and a congressman before that, he had never gone down to the border. I mean, he sent his vice president down there. What'd she do? It's not a whole heck of a lot. And then he started mumbling something about, well, Jill, she's going down there.
Well, I think he's confused because, I think he thinks we're still fighting Pancho Villa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of course, he was there the first time around. That was his only time at the borders when he actually served, in the army and chased Pancho Villa back across the border.
Yeah, that's right. With General Pershing and Colonel,
exactly.
What was it, Lieutenant Colonel Patton?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the only time he was ever at the border.
Right, he may have served in the Alamo for all we know. It's
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Well, he may have driven a car from Alamo.
Right.
That's a good one. Yeah.
He said something about he was at the border. I guess when he was VP, he entered the country through that area, and passed through. That's trying to equate that to visiting the border in the context of what's going on now is just an absolutely ridiculous thing. And then he goes on to say, I should go, but I'm too busy taking care of hurricanes and stuff like that.
What's he too busy doing? Trying to remember his script.
Or Scotland,
He and come on, guys. We all know that going to Tijuana when you're in college and getting drunk and coming back, after you've ridden a couple of the gals down there and come back with something you can spread to the rest of the country, that doesn't count. And he may have done that, but it doesn't count. That's not really going to the border. That's just going to get lucky, and getting drunk, And
on the border restaurant doesn't count.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
I don't know if they have those up in New York.
No, never heard of it.
Yeah, there's a restaurant chain of them, or there were a chain of them here in the Denver area.
Yeah, I think there's still. I'm trying to think if there's any in Oklahoma now or not. There used to be some in Tulsa, but I can't remember if they're still open.
I hear they're going to bring back Bennigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're also supposed to bring back. What was the one there in Denver that they had the cliff diver in Mexico?
Oh, that's Casa Bonita.
Casa Bonita. Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Yeah, now there's a bidding war going on. Some other group wants to. They don't want Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park to buy it, so they said, "Well, we'll pay $3.5 million."
Really, to buy Casa Bonita?
So what are they thinking with the demographic changes that we're allowing to happen at the border? That Tex-Mex food is going to be the next hot thing.
Oh, maybe up in your neck of the woods, but that's been popular here for quite a while because we've got a big Hispanic community here in southern Colorado. I mean,
Colorado has had a very large, and to be honest, most of those that are there didn't come from south of the border. They're leftovers from the conquistadors that went through. I mean, they're we're talking. They were there before the Texicans out of Alamo, or out of Texas in the Texas Republic. There's been a large Hispanic population in Colorado for, like I said, since Coronado came through.
And there is here in New York too, believe it or not. New York City obviously has every ethnicity from around the world. Right. But even up here, there's a pretty big Hispanic population on the west side of the city. And then some of the farmers around here use migrant workers to, picking strawberries, things like that in summer months. And so, you wouldn't think of that as New York State, but, we're much more than New York City. And there's a lot of farmland in New York State.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. Yeah. But no,
we got cities, like Trinidad and
Pueblo, Durango.
Yep.
Right.
No, Mel, we're not going to play clips. I didn't have enough time to set that up.
You went hiking today, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was with the Flight Club, which I meet every week. And today we went to the Platte River Trail, which is north of where we usually do our event. And the trail, which, thank God, it's all cement. It was probably a half a mile hike for me. I'm so glad it was cement, but boy, I was, before the show, I was starting to get pretty stiff, and then I went and took some aspirin, and I'm feeling a lot better now. Hey, Mike, meow meow to you. Good to see you. And the other Mike from Tex Art drone guy. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I admit I missed the Biden town hall meeting because, well, I obviously was busy this last week and
Right.
a half. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of in a news blackout. But I've been listening to little bits of it, and I'm thinking, this guy is, I heard one theory, that they did this so that they could, start working at invoking the 25th,
Oh, okay.
Right.
you know.
Like he got set up or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, well, but if you think about it, Barack Obama, he was great at reading the teleprompter. I mean, he could get up
Oh,
and give a
yeah.
speech that sounded like Martin Luther King, who was a great, orator.
Right.
But, but you take Barack Obama away from his teleprompter, and he bumbled and stumbled and tripped and fell over his words a lot too. There's some people that are great. The problem with Joe Biden is he can't read his teleprompter, or he doesn't
can't.
understand.
Well, he can't read the teleprompter. He can't think off the top of his head.
Right,
So
right.
improv. I mean,
Yeah,
just a bumbling, stumbling old fool is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it is.
And Obama
Like
was,
Lloyd.
as much as he spoke well, those of us who could see through him could see right through him. You know?
yeah.
And it was
yeah.
like Che Obama, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
and then so there was no sincerity behind that.
Mhm.
But as far as that CNN quote town hall deal, I was surprised. I didn't even know about it. I don't watch CNN.
Nobody knew about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Until the jokes started coming out about it.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper knew about it though for sure, and I was surprised, at least to me, at how Anderson Cooper went after him a little bit on some of the questions.
Right.
So I think there's
Yeah.
something to what you said, Lloyd, about maybe setting him up to be, because he's got to be pushed out of the way at some point or something, because he's not going to run again, and never
No.
will get voted in
No.
again. They can't have her run again, or her run.
Right.
She.
Oh, she's like the most hated person in the Democratic Party. And
Yeah.
So they're already talking. I've heard about primaries for the Democrats for 2024.
Yeah. With Biden, it's almost making me wish the perfect ticket to go against Biden and Harris.
What?
That would be Dan Quayle and Bill Clinton. They could still beat them hands down.
That'd be an
Because
interesting combination.
that wouldn't that be? That would be. It almost makes you wish Dan Quayle was back, or because at least so you can't smell potato. The man is very intelligent. I mean, if you read any of his stuff, he was highly intelligent. And
that potato thing, he was handed a piece of paper by a teacher, and he just read what the teacher had written down. And then the late night comedians ran with it. So
yeah.
Well, that's like with Sarah Palin with I could see Russia from my house. She never said that.
Right.
No.
That was Tina Fey playing Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And then now that's been attributed to that Sarah Palin actually said that. No, she never said that.
Well, it's like they say, if you tell a lie long enough, it'll eventually become the truth,
Yeah.
And it's, and of course, history is written by the winners.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Goebbels'
And,
rules of public speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's a lot of other things out there that for all the talking that people do about he's owned by China, he sure is standing up to China about Taiwan.
Oh,
Biden.
Yeah, Biden. Yeah, Biden.
Yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right, twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But there are some things that you got to look at and say, well, at least somebody's calling the right decisions, or appears to be.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And
Rewritten by the ones. You're right.
I just hope they actually, stand up. I mean, and it's not just lip service.
Well, and I think that's all it is, to be honest with you. I think they're going to capitulate because he hasn't stood up for anything since he's been the president. I mean, he has done, I mean,
Mhm.
what has he done successfully? What has he enacted? What has he got passed? What policy has been successful that he's enacted? I mean, this guy makes Jimmy Carter look like the best president
Genius.
ever. Yeah, a genius.
Immense.
And Jimmy Carter, he had his traits. He had some good points in the Navy. A lot of people don't realize what he did. He actually was part of a crew that helped prevent a meltdown and control a meltdown of a nuclear reactor, when he was in the Navy. You don't hear about that,
Right.
I mean,
Jimmy Carter, as president, was at least sincere, and I think he wanted the best.
He wanted, yeah.
He was just horrible at doing it, as president.
He surrounded himself with a pathetic staff. He, no offense to anybody from Georgia, but they're kind of laid back and easygoing. And, he was a farmer governor, he was a peanut farmer. And, he wasn't qualified on the national stage. Just, a lot of people think because you're a governor, that qualifies you to be able to run the executive branch. Well, it depends on what state you're from.
Ronald Reagan did pretty good.
Ronald Reagan also ran one of the biggest states in the Union. There's a difference. Georgia is a whole different story. You compare Georgia, because if Georgia was as powerful as California, they'd have as big a population and as many electoral votes. And I wouldn't expect the governor of Oklahoma to qualify as president. I mean, it's like saying the guy that runs the town grocery stores, there's 3 or 4 grocery stores in town, is as qualified to run the country as the guy that runs Walmart. They both do the same job, but their experience and their understanding of the that's why Jimmy Carter was so unqualified, and
but he was very naive. That was the thing.
Well, that was his problem too.
Big demerit.
Right. He was very.
Where everybody else, it's just incompetency or purposely, doing damage to the country, like what Obama did. Going around bowing to our enemies. Pretty much. Now that's what Biden's doing. So what he does, he goes in and he says no to the Keystone Pipeline. Reneges on all the drilling on public lands. Then he goes over to the Middle East and starts begging for those people to up their production. And it's like, well, Jesus Jiminy, Joe. We were energy independent before you became president, and now you just totally screwed us. And now the Europeans are in a bind because Russia has them by the short hairs because the Europeans aren't getting gas or oil from us. We were selling our stuff to Europeans. We were helping them out. Now they're paying like up to $8 to $10 a gallon for gas.
Well, a year ago in Oklahoma, just before the election, I was paying $1.69 for a gallon of gas. Well, I just went out yesterday. and I saw it had jumped to, and I'd been paying $2.79, $2.79 for the last 7, 8, 9 months, and or at least the last 6 months. And I noticed yesterday it had jumped from $2.79 to $3.09 a gallon. Just in a couple of days' time, because I just put gas in the truck here, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago, a week ago, and I don't fill my tank anymore. I can't afford to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
here
it's
in
expensive.
Denver, the highest I paid was $3.59.
Mike B says, Mike, you need a flag behind you. See, Art and I both
All
have
right.
flags, Yeah, you're going to have to get you a flag behind you.
There's one over my back shoulder there, a little
There you go.
flag. So it's hidden in there. It's fine, the flag, But
Yeah.
But anyway, gas has come down a bit, and I found a gas station, mobile station, $3 a gallon. So
I haven't looked today, but our gas had gone up over the, as of Friday. I don't know what the change was, but
right.
yeah.
And imagine what it would be. Say the economy did pick up now and gas really started getting used while we've cut off our supply, our own supply, and it would shoot up like even more because the economy really hasn't, it's obviously picked up compared to a year ago because we were in kind of full lockdown still, except for the election. But, it's just the most ridiculous decisions to shut off our own system and then beg OPEC to send us more oil. And then act like there's nothing we can do about it. It's another thing he said during that town hall was nothing I can do in the short term. There's plenty he could do in the short term.
Yeah.
He could, green light the Keystone Pipeline. That there would lower the price of oil, just the green lighting of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. It's like TDR says, he doesn't have to do anything. He's not running the country. He's a placeholder for the communist insurrection. And,
Yep.
And we as Americans allow this, we let this go through. We started allowing and accepting communism and socialism. I mean, when you get somebody like 1961, you wouldn't have seen a Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Right. It would have been a college campus freak,
Yeah, well, yeah. In 61, it would have been, that would have been unheard of. I mean, we're talking just coming out of the McCarthy era, just 61 is like 5-6 years out of McCarthyism, less than 10 years.
Remember back in the 60s, what was that thing? Oh, the free speech movement and Students for Democracy.
Yeah.
And that's done away. Now they're censoring speeches on college. You gotta go to a safe space.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's true that we kind of are, in the middle of a socialist / communist insurrection revolution, but the country has become so apathetical and so, in the mindset that it can't happen here. And after last year, anything can happen here.
Yep.
So we're in literally a revolution without knowing about it. But people are so distracted with their toys and everything else, and that they just don't want to pay attention, and plus kind of burn out on paying attention. But like it or not, we have to pay attention.
We become, it's like the murder rates, the killings, all of that is, this is a nation has been at war for a generation, for 20 years, and we're still in a war. We're not completely through. We're not completely out of all of those places, you know, and actually
Right.
longer than that, because you go back to Kosovo, and we started in some of these places back when Bill Clinton was president, you know,
Yeah. Mm.
and
And somebody forgot to tell the Taliban that we're not in a war. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
you know, the war is over. Well, not as far as they're concerned. You
right.
know?
Well,
And
I was listening to something on Sean Hannity on the radio yesterday, not yesterday, Friday. I had to run up and go across town anyways. And this guy, he's a satirist. He's a conservative satirist, and he likes to go out and, you know, stir the pot. So he went to a college campus, UC Berkeley, and he started raising money. He started a little funding thing, and he had his little thing set up, and he had people signing petitions and all this, and he was asking for donations, $5, $10, $50 even he got. And of course, he never took any money. But what he was raising the money for, I'm just going, this can't be.
yeah,
He was raising money for the Taliban to train their fighters to use all that new equipment so they can come here to the United States and fight us. And these students were donating money because they feel that the imperialist America needs to be put down.
right.
And this was, of course, it was all satire. He was joking about it, and he never took any of the money because he says, I don't want to get in trouble with the FBI. That's taking money for foreign, you know, he says, but these students were freely given it. He says in an hour and a half time, he made $350. He says, that's pretty good hourly wage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of like
of course
what
he did.
Jesse Waters does on Fox News there. But
Right,
it's amazing on a college campus how dull some of these people are, but also how indoctrinated they are. Via now grade school, but the college campus over the last 20 years. I mean, they're just basically teaching communism and anti-American.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, TDR. You're right. I mean, I talked to somebody just yesterday or Friday, I can't remember now, that is, you know, kind of closely involved in some of this kind of stuff, having to deal with some of this stuff and the reports they get and all this stuff. And he told me, he says, I'm afraid it's going to get nasty. You know, it's time to start buying cans of Spam and Vegemite and potted meat and whatever else that'll keep forever, you know, because it's you know, we're looking at, like TDR says, we're looking at this type of thing, you know. I didn't think I'd ever see it in my lifetime. And
yeah, me neither.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't walk out of the house now without a gun on my side. You know? And you know, I've had concealed carry going on, I think 7 years now. I've had my handgun license. And you know, that's the thing. Nobody thinks anything about it when you carry a handgun now here, at least here in Oklahoma, because we're constitutional carry. But I still have a handgun license, so I can go to Arkansas and Texas and places and other places, and they have reciprocatory. That is a hard word to say. Anyways, they recognize my handgun license, so I can still. So without it, just because my state's constitutional carry doesn't mean I can carry it around in Texas if I'm not a Texas citizen. You know, so I keep my handgun license up to date so that when we travel, or if we travel outside of the state, even going over to Fort Smith, you know, which is an hour's drive from here, you know, it's I have to have my handgun license, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I've been actually prepping, you might want to call it, a little bit, in terms of buying extra stuff, paper goods and all that, and some food items that will keep. You know, not going crazy with it, but, you know, doesn't hurt to have a month's supply of absolute necessities on hand. I talked to a buddy of mine in Vegas just the other day, and he says out there the shelves are pretty bare. He's noticing here on the East Coast. I don't know if things are tied up more on the West Coast, and it's maybe working its way, this way. We're pretty stocked up here on most things, but so many of those things come from east to west, so maybe we're just on a little delay here. But it gets crazy. When we have real shortages.
Here in Denver area, I have noticed there are some items where the shelves are bare. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when they stock the shelf, they just do the front row. There's nothing behind that. They want to give you the illusion that the shelf is full, because they don't want to sell out in one day and have nothing to replace it in the back,
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing is, look at all that. Look at all those ships sitting on the docks out there, and they.
Oh, and what gets me is when I heard that those ports aren't open 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like going,
they're not.
You're kidding me.
That's the union.
All the other foreign countries, their ports are always open 24/7, all year round.
And of course, that's creating delays in truckers are sitting there hours on end. Mel can probably attest to what it's like to have to sit in one of those places.
Well, and there's not enough truck drivers too.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too. I was thinking about that when I heard that. I thought, hey, Mel, here's your opportunity to go back to driving a truck. I'll bet they'd hire you on in a heartbeat.
Oh, in California, they've got restrictions on trucks.
Yeah,
you
nothing
can't
over
own a
2011.
truck that's over 5 years old now.
Yeah, it's gone to the
just nuts.
Absolutely
I look at it this way: if we're going to have our ports in a state that has those kind of restrictions, we need to move our ports.
Well, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he said, "Hey, we don't send them over here.
Send them over here." Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but then you'd have to go through the Panama Canal, and that's a lot of.
But there may be other ways that they do the shipping. They may start shipping across Europe and then bring it down to Florida. Rather than coming across from Asia.
Well, so many goods come from Asia.
And that's the other problem. We're
the quickest route.
We haven't even touched on we talk about China and stuff, but look they just fired off that hypersonic missile that will can carry a nuclear warhead. They're in striking distance of us now. Simple,
Right.
This is
that's what we've been told. They're also telling us there's space aliens out there too, flying around. These little movie clips they show us, and it's like I don't know what to believe anymore. So,
but I think this missile that China launched, I think that's a credible thing, because it's. I mean, think about it. They've stolen some of the best technology in the world, and then piggybacked on that.
Right.
And sure, they're going to have something equal to or better than what we've got at the moment,
Yeah.
And I think I even heard
do anything, you got to strike when the opportunity's there. And if there was ever a time of opportunity, it's the next year and a half,
right?
While Biden is sitting there, staring at the wall, because he's asleep at the wheel, and if we get even the Congress back, that will be a little more power to the U.S. But China, senses weakness, at least for the next year plus, and God knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's just hope that Biden's, spending plan doesn't go through. Now he's cut it down. Now it's under $2 trillion. I think it's 1 point. It's still too freaking much.
Well,
and it's loaded with goodies that once enacted, it'll never go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's just another government program, and They're just like Medicare and the welfare state.
Yeah.
That'll never go away.
And it's
Yeah, I mean-
amazing how they've normalized talking about spending $1 trillion. I mean,
Yeah.
a few years ago, saying I'm going to, have a bill that's $1 trillion plus, it would be unheard of. And now we're saying up to 5 trillion. So, well,
Mhm.
now it's only 2
You're right,
trillion,
TDR.
and it's insane.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I'm thinking. I remember when Johnson signed the welfare,
Yeah.
act,
War on
and
poverty.
war on poverty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
supposed
they've
to
done-
eliminate
Yeah.
what was it?
Poverty.
Well, poverty.
Poverty.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
supposed to-
Poverty.
Yeah, it's supposed to for the minorities, eliminate the poverty for the minorities.
Yeah.
And all it's
what
done is
it didn't do anything.
yeah.
It actually made it worse.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you look at you look at the history of what they've done. I mean, we're back to segregation again.
Yep.
Right.
And we were talking about stuff that we were talking about the free speech movement and stuff. Well, just like the anti-religious stuff that's gone on, the anti-Christian stuff. Back in the 60s, man, you had the Jesus freaks were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They were a big movement, among the hippies. It's just like, you had the crazies like Charles Manson, and then you had, I saw something. This is just a little snippet, but this is the insanity of this new generation of people are out there. Some knobhead decided that it would be a great idea to get the ashes of Charles Manson, mix them in with some ink, and then do tattoos on people of his head. And there's a couple that paid to have a tattoo of Charles Manson matching set. The wife wanted it, and so the husband thought, well, to be fair, I should go ahead and support her, so I got one too. And it has the ashes of Charles Manson mixed in the ink. I mean, how friggin' crazy is this? This is just this country has just gone off the rails.
Yeah. That's pretty mental right there. That's
that's crazy.
Something
Yeah.
to keep an eye on. That's not right.
No. And they're probably not even old enough. They're not even old enough to know who Charles Manson is.
Right.
Just he's cool or something.
Yeah, like
this is why. I'm thinking about moving to the Philippines. I could go live on a tropical paradise and just say, screw you guys. I'm going to live out my golden years here in a tropical paradise and just,
Yeah.
Yep.
The insanity of our...
Mhm.
Yeah, still dealing with a little of this.
If the Philippines was more wheelchair accessible, Art, I'd be right behind you. But so much is not, compared to
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's you kind of stuck with what you're what you can do physically. Like it would be hard for Judy and I to go there.
Right.
Just one. The heat would probably put me back in a wheelchair quicker than anything because the heat is the enemy of people with multiple sclerosis.
Right.
And boy, summertime, I am in here. I don't go out unless I absolutely have to. And then I do it usually later in the day after the heat has started dissipating,
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not going to do it first thing in the morning because I don't get up till noon. So, that kind of precludes me.
Well, it gets pretty darn hot in the Philippines. You want to go to a hot place? Go to Indonesia. Go to Jakarta, where it's 100+ degrees every day for 6 months or more.
Yeah.
Because they're like right on the equator. I've got an old coworker. He's from Indonesia, and he was a 12-year-old during World War II, and he was captured by the Japanese, he escaped and joined the freedom fighters. And this was in a day where Indonesia was part of the Dutch Empire,
Right.
you know,
Right.
the West Indies, you know.
Yeah.
But he sees himself as a Dutch person, even though he's Asian.
Right.
You know?
Right.
He's
Yeah.
got a last name. His last name is Hagenstein. Herman
TR Jones is
Hagenstein.
Right, one
TR
of
Jones
those
says he has to go.
traditional
So
Asian names.
Okay, take care, Brian. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
yeah, and
Yeah, so he goes to Holland almost every year, every other
Yeah.
year.
yeah, things were a lot different. You know, you look at you look at, but we are, unfortunately, I think we're starting to repeat not the good things that happened in this country, but we're starting to repeat some of the worst, and we're just taking, because these young people, these people that are running things. And here's another thing: you think about it, you start looking at what's in our Congress and Senate. How many young people are up there?
Yeah, a lot of older
A
people
lot of
back
old
in the
people, you know.
80s and some in their 90s.
Right.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
And we're
some of the young ones that are there
They're
are
the
the
most
Omars
radical.
and AOCs
Yeah.
and these nut job.
Ilhan Omar
Yeah.
and Rashida Tlaib. Yeah.
right.
And the thing is, we're talk about repeating history, Lloyd. It's like, we're not only, repeat our own history that happened in decades past, but even ancient history of like the loss of the concept of citizenship, which
Right.
happened in the Roman Empire.
Roman Empire.
And
Yep.
and there are so many people, young and old, who just don't have a appreciation for how lucky they are to be an
Yeah.
American citizen,
Yeah.
and that it should be an exclusive club. Citizenship, is something that comes with all these privileges, and rights, but it also comes with responsibility to be, vigilant and be a good citizen.
Right.
And for God's sake, pay attention.
I don't care for the actor's politics, and that's Michael Douglas. But one of the greatest things he ever said, in my opinion, is in the movie The American President, and where he says, as an American citizen, we have to fight to keep our country. We have to fight for the right to be a citizen. We have to accept that some guy is standing on the corner, espousing Nazi rhetoric and shouting it from the rooftops, and we have to accept that it is his right of free speech to say that. We don't have to like it. We can try and fight to change that, but we have to fight, just as we have to fight against, and of course, he's obviously, a Democrat and everything, but to, and I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was one of the best things was the fact that he had to, as an American, we have to earn, and we have to constantly fight for the right to be a citizen. We are citizens by birth, but in order to keep that citizenship alive, we have to keep fighting. We have to accept that somebody can have Nazi hate speech. That's free speech. We don't have to like it. We can try and turn people's ideals to a better way of thinking, but they still have the right to think the way they want.
Right. But and also that these people at the border who just want to waltz in do not have the right to waltz
right to be citizen
and or to even approach citizenship. And now oftentimes in some school boards in California, and I understand they allow illegal aliens to vote in school board elections and stuff. That's a slippery slope right there. I mean, that's really bad. And
and that's it. We're throwing away our citizenship by allowing anybody and everybody just to walk through and little quick story. Greg from Oz by Drone, Greg Coonert, his uncle just became an American citizen. Now, he was born in South Africa, as was Greg's father. They're South African and or Afrikaners. Anyways, and but they grew up in there, and his uncle came here years ago and finally became an American citizen this last week. And
Wow.
he's did it the right way. But Greg says, so let me understand this. You're an American citizen. Yes. And he's very proud. He says, did you slip across the border to get that? No, I've been here.
Right.
He said, did you sneak across the Mexican border so you could to get your citizenship? No.
So he's an African American.
Yeah, he's an African American.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is an African American.
Check that
He can truly claim that. I saw one on Downton Abbey. They had a black jazz player come in, and he came downstairs where the butler was at and all that stuff because the band was going to play for his lordship. And the head butler says, "So, have you ever thought about going to Africa?" You know, in that posh British accent that he has. He says, "Why would I?" And he was an American. He said, "Why would I do that? I'm no more African than you are." Well, maybe a little more, but no, my people have been in the United States. Why would I go to Africa? I have nothing in common with those people. I have more in common with you. And of course, you know, it was they played that well, and I thought that was actually an intelligent, you know, for being the BBC that did this. That was one of the most intelligent things I've seen come out of the BBC in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And one thing about that's extremely unique about American citizenship, especially for, you know, naturalized American citizens, is
Right.
people can come from anywhere in the world and be of any ethnicity or religion or whatever, and become an American citizen and be totally accepted as an American citizen. And, you know, but an American can't go to, say, Pakistan or India or El Salvador and become a citizen. Even if they did legally, they'll never be accepted as a citizen.
Right.
You know, so America's a unique experiment that involves all different peoples, but we have to be American first when we you know, take that pledge of citizenship or are born a citizen. And
we are no longer the great melting. Yeah, we're no longer the great melting pot. We don't allow the melting anymore. Now it's more like oil, water, and milk.
We're more like a salad bowl.
Yeah. I was thinking it's more like oil. Throw in a big pot, put in some milk, curdled milk, some oil, some water, some turpentine. That's what we got right now, because that is a caustic mix, and I guarantee it. You know, and that's what we're creating. You know, that's what we're creating. It went from
all right, let's close out with we had a tragic situation down in New Mexico with Alec Baldwin being an idiot with a prop gun, you know, not properly trained with, you know, handguns. What the hell were you doing? You know?
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is, well, look at what happened with Jason Lee. What happened with him is, I guess someone had fired a round that wasn't a full charge, and the projectile jammed in the barrel. Then when they fired the blank, there was enough propellant to propel that projectile that killed him. And I'm wondering if maybe that's what happened with Alec Baldwin.
Well, the reports are that, you know, some of the people that have been reporting on it have said that they were having problems with gun safety back then. I think of the, you know, when the NRA, or when we first started having take hunter safety course, I was in like the first class in Denver, you know, or in Colorado. When Colorado enacted it, I was in the first class of of that first generation to take it. And I remember the 10 commandments of gun safety. And number one is treat every gun as though it was a loaded and real gun. That's it.
Mhm.
You treat all guns as if they were loaded, even toy guns. I mean, I instilled that in my kids. And this just shows that people who have not been raised around guns or don't study and learn gun safety properly, this is the kind of crap that, had he treated that as if it were a loaded gun and a real gun with a real round in it, that would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is on Alec Baldwin. I'm sorry he's having to go through this, but this is on him. And this is on his whole plethora of idiots that don't understand gun safety, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right here, this is the biggest safety. My gun that I carry has no safety on it because this is my safety. When I pull that gun out, my hand never touches the trigger. The only time it touches the trigger is when I'm getting ready to fire a round. And so when I slide it in and when I pull it out, my fingers sit along the side of the barrel. They never go anywhere near the trigger guard. And that's because that's gun safety. This is the number one safety thing right here. And what happened with Alec Baldwin was pure, I'm sorry, stupidity, lack of training, lack of empathy towards guns. We see them in the shoot 'em out, the westerns, and the war movies, and blah, 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 all that stuff. That's there again, empathy. We become so jaded to the or not empathy, but apathy. We become so jaded and just so accustomed to it that people don't understand they don't understand the basic common precept. Number one rule: treat every gun as though it were a loaded gun.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah, it's amazing how, and I don't know the details of what happened exactly at all, but the people who have the most disdain for the Second Amendment are always the least qualified to handle a gun, but they tend to have private security and all that stuff of people who do know how to handle a gun. So a horrible accident.
It was a terrible tragedy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
well, guys, we've done a little over an hour, and
we have.
I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming.
Yeah.
Good to see you. And any last words? We'll start with Mike.
No, I just sorry I was late again. I was just last minute here. I actually was editing some stuff from last night, some Halloween stuff, so I'll have that up soon, I hope. And just have a good week, and looking forward to the Halloween stuff. Won't be giving out candy this year, not because I'm afraid of COVID or anything, but just not as many little kids in the neighborhood as there was in the past, but hopefully that'll change. But just taking this week as it comes, and who knows what's going to happen politically. Every week's an adventure now.
Yeah.
Lloyd?
Well, I'm just going to say, well, first off, I need to make a public apology to all my friends from Texas on Coast to Coast Drones. They had a plethora of Texans there, and I was picking on them. So I was giving them crap, Okay. So to all my Texan friends, it was all in fun and they knew it, but still. And just remember, let's be kind. Let's treat each other better than we treat ourselves, and let's use our brains, use your brains before you go out and do something. Use your brains before you, I mean, come on, it's common sense, and let's try and help others learn to use their brains, because unless the zombie apocalypse happened and their brains have already been taken, which I think happened to the Democrats. Anyways, that's what I got to say.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week on Halloween Have a great weekend. God bless you, and see you next time.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Later.